Will you drink to the earth and to the days which have passed upon it? Will you drink to the fullness which was and to friends who have passed on? Will you drink to good company?
And by people within Canada pushing extremist views, trying to foment anger and discord.
He done that himself. I watched him fomenting anger and discord with these people. They're like hooligans or terrorists that don't want to get this type of medicine done. This guy can't come on our TV sets telling us this kind of stuff, can he? And expect to be taken seriously. Guy can't come on our TV sets telling us this kind of stuff, can he? And expect to be taken seriously, particularly not when we know that the end result will be the invoking of new powers that won't be revoked. Remember, he campaigned and lobbied to have emergency laws instantiated that had not been used since, like, I think, actual wars against actual Nazis. Oh, these people, they got trucks, that could be a Nazi, there's no way of knowing. These people, under the mask of liberalism, under the bouffon of friendliness, are always trying to push one clear agenda. Give us more power, give up your individual freedom so that we can support the interests of globalists, technocracies, and corporations without the inconvenience of democratic intervention.
One of the best feelings to me ever is when I see somebody on the left and there's a clip from them and all of a sudden they're talking and they're going on and on and on and I'm listening and there's actually something I agree with. It's one of those moments, right? It's something called decency. It's a mind game, you know, and all of a sudden you're like, oh damn, wait, did we just agree? I'm like, can that happen? Can you check in the back if that's allowed to happen? Look, this may surprise y'all a whole lot, but I don't want to go down in history as just necessarily being a champion for the right or soldier for the conservative cause. Hell, I want to be a soldier for common sense. In the past year, Bill Maher has done something very, very interesting, which is, while he remains a Democrat, he is calling out the lunacy of the far progressive lefts that are ruining this country. It's the same lunacy that I call out on a daily basis. And I respect that immensely. He could just shut up, he could go along with the agenda, he could do all that kind of stuff, but he's not. And I really, really respect a man who goes off script. Seeing someone like Bill Maher say, you know, hey, everybody on the left over here, looting is still wrong, abolishing the police is still insane, shutting down the entire economy has absolutely killed us. I'm like, thank you, Bill. People are starting to finally ignore their party's official manuscript and what it tells them to do, and they're starting to think for themselves, and it's beautiful. I just watched rewatched the JFK-Nixon 1960 presidential debates. Go ahead and check that out. It will show you how adults can civilly disagree with each other. It's a beautiful thing. It actually can happen. It actually used to happen. Don't happen no more. The Democrats are gonna get their asses handed to them in November because they have decided to embrace mental illness. We've talked about this. They knew it was wrong, but they went along with the wokes because it was popular for a minute and they drank the poison. So Bill, thank you for thinking independently. Thank you for allowing your side and my side to civilly disagree, because it really gives me hope. If y'all watched The West Wing back in the day with Martin Sheen, aka President Bartlett, I say all the time, if that man actually existed, if he was not a fictional character, if he ran today as a Democrat, he'd be unstoppable. It's scary. But even he would be way too conservative for today's woke ideology. So let's bring it on home here, okay? let's stop making 100% of life political, because it ain't. I swear some people would actually sit and ponder, is ketchup and mustard Republican or Democrat? Who the hell cares? Just put it on your hot dog and go watch the ball game. Have a good time.
But first, let's check in with the leader of the free world, who is blaming everything and everyone for his administration's many failures, including the US's energy crisis. Remember, the US was a net energy exporter under President Trump, but under Joe Biden, who in his first day in office cancelled the permit for the Keystone Pipeline, well, there's an energy crisis. Biden loves to blame external factors beyond his control for this self-inflicted mayhem. But what is happening is precisely what he said would happen during the 2020 presidential campaign. He promised to slash emissions and kill fossil fuel projects.
Would there be any place for fossil fuels, including coal and fracking, in a Biden administration?
No, we would work it out. We would make sure it's eliminated. No more drilling on federal lands. No more drilling, including offshore. No ability for the oil industry to continue to drill, period. I guarantee you, we're going to end fossil fuel.
What about, say, stopping fracking and stopping new pipeline infrastructure?
Exactly. No new fracking.
We are going to get rid of fossil fuels.
I've argued against any more oil drilling or gas drilling on federal lands.
No one's going to build a coal-fired plant again, and we're going to get rid of the ones we have now.
Have a transition from the oil industry, yes.
Would you be willing to sacrifice some of that growth, even knowing potentially that it could displace thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of blue-collar workers in the interest of transitioning to that greener economy?
The answer is yes. I understand Americans are anxious, and they're anxious for good reason. I was raised in a household when the price of gasoline rose precipitously. It was the discussion at the table. It made a difference when food prices went up. But we've never seen anything like Putin's tax on both food and gas.
At least he was lucid there when he was lying through. But you can't say that about his performance on the Jimmy Kimmel Show, which started badly and got worse. Here is Biden indulging in some mask theatre by wearing a mask when he's all by himself and then taking it off when he approaches the host. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Biden then went on some bizarre rant about biracial couples on TV and bragged that his administration had done a lot of great stuff. They're just bad at communication.
Oh, I'm serious. You turn on the TV, look at the ads. When's the last time you saw biracial couples on TV? When's the last time you saw the way, people are selling products, they do ads to sell products.
Does he think it's 1965? Maybe he seriously does think it's 1965, because these days ads are full of biracial families. But when he wasn't making a fool of himself on late night TV, Biden was indulging in reckless rhetoric. This is what he said about his political opponents just days after a Supreme Court justice appointed by President Trump had an attempt on his life.
Every once in a while, something you learn makes you viscerally angry. Like if you had the person in front of you, you'd want to pop them. No, I really mean it.
Don't you just love the unity that he's brought, the prosperity that he's brought? That's what happens when you order a president through the mail.
Comedian Bill Maher roasts the liberal New York Times for how they cover the attempted assassination of Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh this week, saying the paper downplayed the incident because Kavanaugh is a conservative.
The point I would agree with is the New York Times buried this.
Yeah, it was like a tiny thing below the fold.
If this had been a liberal Supreme Court justice that someone came to kill, it would have been on the front page. And that's what's so disappointing about a paper like the New York Times. Because they just wear their bias on their sleeves. And if it's not part of something that feeds our narrative, it.
Jimmy, they wear their bias on their sleeve. To you first.
It's totally true. The media is a bunch of activists masquerading as journalists. We know this. And you don't hear a peep out of anybody. Any prominent Democratic politician or administration official who was encouraging the protests outside the home of SCOTUS justices. And when there's a double standard on political violence, there is no standard. We all know that. The only person I'll give a pass to here is Pelosi, because she's too busy finding a designated driver for her husband right now. But the rest of them should have said something.
And I just have to say, I know that he would rather have bamboo shoots shoved under his fingernails than have me as a fan, but Bill Maher continues to impress me, and I might be very close to being a fan. I know he doesn't want to hear that, but he's kind of got me.
Brings us to This Week in Biden.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
In 30-something seconds. How long is this clip, Toolman?
It's like 15.
15 seconds. 15 seconds, 3 lies, then we have another clip. So 15 seconds and 3 lies, but we'll make sure that 3 claims that are so easy to refute. Here you go.
Since I took office, families are carrying less debt.
Nope.
Their average savings are up. A recent survey from the Federal Reserve found that more Americans feel financially comfortable than any time since the survey began in 2013.
All right, so that we don't need the clip for this one because I just saw that one. But that was his claim, right? The claim right there is that families are carrying less debt since Biden took office. Here's the truth. No. It's the opposite of that. Debt is up. Reference available at louderscredit.com. There was an increase in total household debt in the first quarter of 2022, increasing by $266 billion to $15.84 trillion.
So increasing means up.
Yes.
Wait,
That's confusing. Big words.
What happened? Did you go outside or talk to friends?
Yeah. Did you converse with the folks?
Yeah. Did you? What proof do you have besides everything everywhere?
Yeah.
What an asshole.
Do we have the clip of the other claim? We can just replay it.
Okay.
I mean, it's only 15 seconds. So here, just hit the claim here real quick. We'll hit the claim.
Yep.
All right, hit the claim. So in here, he also claims, it's such a short clip, so many lies, that the average savings are up.
Since I took office, families are carrying less debt. Their average savings are up.
Liar!
A recent survey from the Federal Reserve found that more Americans feel financially comfortable than any time since the survey began in 2013.
The last one's a bogus survey, but savings are up is his claim. Savings are up. No. No, the truth. Savings are down.
Oh.
Here's from CNBC, not a conservative source. No. Americans now have an average of $9,000 less in savings than they did last year. 9,000. I don't remember them losing 9,000. 9,000.
Well, they didn't put it in red and put the little minus sign in front of it, so I was confused.
Or adjusted for inflation, $58,000.
Yes. Adjusted for inflation, you now are owned by a pimp.
Yes, but at least that 9,000 won't buy you near as much now.
No,
that's great.
So you're not missing out on quite as much.
The double negative something, I don't know. The point is, that's 2 lies immediately. 2 lies in one phrase.
That's what I said. You said 48 hours, and I'm like, over the course.
Well, this is just one, and then there's the other speech that he gave about the CDC
several,
thing.
Yeah.
So I'll just
technically it's over 22 seconds.
Right. I'll just reiterate the claim. We don't need to show the clip again where he says the Federal Reserve survey, this is his claim, Federal Reserve survey, more Americans feel financially comfortable. The truth? No.
What? Does anybody think that's true?
Yeah, this comes from Ipsos.
Yeah.
Americans are feeling less financially secure in the first quarter of 2022 than they did in the fourth quarter of 2021.
Okay.
So his survey that he tried to use, he was talking about, if you look at it, it was pre-pandemic.
Well, and I have to
why would you include that?
Why do you mean comfortable? Like, why would you say financially comfortable? What is that wording that you've chosen? Like, is that like some loose term? Like that there's no real definition of it?
Yeah, almost as loose as savings are up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I thought that, I feel like that one's kind of airtight. Like, in other words, Donald Trump would say, this is a shithole country, and pants on fire. Washington Post would be like, four Pinocchios. Like, what would you call Haiti? Like, let's just be honest about it. But in this case, he goes, savings are up. No fact check that they're down $9,000? Nothing?
No, just a lot of applause.
Yeah.
Oh, good job.
Like, remember in the beginning of 2020 when people would get like a $5 bill and tip $20.20?
Right.
I feel like they may have been more comfortable then. And then something happened.
Call it a hunch.
Yeah.
I agree.
So just saying.
Now, Dave,
then the stocks were up and such.
That's anecdotal. Okay, that is empirical.
Yeah, roughly 2013
true.
through 2019, let's just say, may have been more comfortable.
Yeah. It's hard to argue with that logic.
Yeah.
Because there's logic. So here's another part.
I went to Family Video then.
Here's another part, and this is from June 2nd, I guess. It happened June 2nd, so that would have been Thursday after we'd done the show. He claimed, and this is something a lot of you have requested.
By popular request.
By popular request, because you're going, this can't be right, can it? Of course it's not right. So here, hit the claim. Former Vice President Joe Biden claimed that firearms are the #1 killer of children in the United States.
According to new data just released by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, guns are the #1 killer of children. Wrong. In the United States of America. The #1 killer. More than car accidents, more than cancer.
Oh my God. He said something wrong and then he went on to reiterate something wrong.
He did. #1.
Here's the truth. The leading cause of death among children ages 1 to 14 years old, which is pretty generous for the term children, is accidents. It's accidents. And there's a little more to this too, where then they tried to do these numbers where they separated into homicide and suicide with firearms, and then they also included people who were, octogenarians. I'm being somewhat facetious.
There is a big problem, though, with ages 1 and 4-year-olds with suicides with firearms.
Yes, exactly.
It's really, you come home and that crayon suicide note's written out.
Well, also the autoerotic asphyxiation.
I know, it's
the children's drag shows leave no one untouched.
I know.
So here's the truth. In 2019, the deaths by firearms spiked.
Right.
Got it.
Yeah.
About 3,300 children and teens were killed by guns. Here's the thing. 85% of those deaths were among 15 to 19-year-olds. So he says it's the #1 killer. It's not the #1 killer of children. And then when you take the total number, 85% of them are legal adults. And I'm exaggerating because some of them are 15, 16, but they can be tried as adults, and certainly 18 or 19-year-olds, 85%. And then you get into the fact that the vast majority of that is, intercity gang violence.
Yeah.
So this is the why don't you trust your institutions? We just got through the federal marshals, the FBI. We just got through the vice president's office, right, where they're talking about the Federal Reserve polling. And now right here, well, why don't you trust the CDC? Because you can go to the CDC and look at the numbers and look at how they try to do this clever accounting. I don't know who they have, a statistician or a CPA.
Like, just shut up and trust them.
It's the #1 killer. No, it's not. Then he repeats it. #1. No, even higher than accidents. It's the opposite of that. That's been this week in Biden.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
The Lord is my shepherd.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes